Friday evening, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Tonight, I'm finally going to review my most anticipated movie of this month, Saw X. And right off the bat, this might be one of the best Saw entries since the original. So let's talk about it. So Saw X is a prequel that is set between Saw 1 and 2, and it brings back John Kramer, where he learns of like a treatment to cure his cancer that is taking place in Mexico. So he goes there and gets treated, but it turns out that the doctors and nurses were con artists. So he gets his bloody revenge, and right off the bat, this is the right type of movie for the Saw franchise, because all the victims that he picked out are the lowest of the low, and they're just degenerates. And this movie had like the best setup during the entire series. Like I said, this was the right movie for the Saw franchise. And it's pretty much set in two parts, where the first part is pretty much a character study on John Kramer and his condition. The second part is the game and all the traps. But I'll get into the traps here in a minute. Let's talk about Tobin Bell. I think this is the best portrayal of Jigsaw that he's ever done in the whole franchise. Because, I mean, you kind of sympathize with the guy, even though he is like a sadistic mastermind of torture and pain. You just realize that he's just a normal guy who just got wronged on curing his cancer, and that's what makes his character even more terrifying. You don't mess with this type of person. You're definitely gonna like suffer for it. And I do like that exploration with John Kramer in here. You also get the return of Amanda, which she comes in by like the end of Act 1, and she's with them throughout the rest of the movie. So we already know that she is Jigsaw's apprentice, and she helps get these people to play this game. So the first trap in this movie, I don't want to say it's a letdown, because it was pretty much advertised throughout the campaign of this movie. I mean, they like released like a clip on YouTube. That's the eye trap, and that's pretty much in the poster. So in the beginning, he notices that a janitor is looking after this patient in a hospital, and he like goes through like his personal stuff, and he just like pictures what he can do to this janitor. So the trap is set up where he has his hands that are attached to some kind of bending mechanism, and he uses his other hand to like twist a dial to bend his fingers before he gets his eyes sucked out. I really wanted more of that trap. But getting into the movie, John Kramer actually goes to like a cancer support group, and he meets a couple people, and he talks to this one guy, and they meet like 4 months later, and the guy he met tells him about like some experimental treatment that happened in like Norway, but now moved to Mexico. So John actually does some research on this foundation. It's called the Peterson Project, and he sends out an email about his medical condition and records, and the doctor in charge gives him a call back and tells him that a spot opened up immediately, so they can treat him like the next day that he's there. And they do the surgery. And it turns out they really didn't do much to cure him because the tumor was still in him. And that's when Saw happens. So he invested in the help of Amanda to get all of his doctors and nurses in this chemical plant. The first trap, which is the one that like really stood out to me, is what I like to call the wire saw trap, where it's got like this girl, and she's like having like this wire saw right at her neck, and the only way to free herself is to cut off her leg using a wire saw. But she's got to do that before she gets decapitated. You know what happens? Yeah. The second trap was the guy, and he had to like get like brain matter from his cerebrum to like avoid being electrocuted and wearing like this mask. That was kind of a rough one too. And then the third one and the final one was the girl who got lifted up by chains, and she had to like break her foot and her arm to avoid being burned from radiation from an MRI machine. So she was the only survivor, but you come with like a twist at the end where the doctor was actually more sadistic than John Kramer and Amanda, because a guy comes in and he's actually like with the doctor, so they both become like the villains of this movie in a way. So the way this thing wraps up is that Kramer and Amanda are both trapped, but they bring in like this kid who became like a friend of Kramer's, and Kramer and this kid get blood boarded. It's kind of like waterboarded, but there's blood involved. and they both just fight to survive, and they both get out successfully. But our two antagonists are stuck up in the office, breathing in chemical, hazardous material. So the doctor survives, but the guy doesn't, and that's the end of the movie. There is a mid-credit scene in here that does bring in Hoffman as well. So I can see this continuing, of course. So I really did enjoy this movie, but it's open-ended, which means it can continue with the series. And I am kind of curious to see how this arc will go. But overall, guys, I would give Saw X an A. Easily one of the best Saw movies since the original. And them are some fighting words. But I really did enjoy this movie quite a bit. And yeah. That's all I got for Saw X. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I have one more video to film for this month. And I was going to do that tonight, but it's getting a little bit late. And I really don't want to talk for nearly 50 minutes. But that said video will be like the movies I watched in September. It's going to be another long one. So that video will be coming tomorrow. And then I can get prepared for October. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and hit it. And I'm going to post this video tonight so you guys can watch it while waiting for my final video for the month. Alright guys, adios, peace.